Some bars weren't just places to drink, they were the heartbeat of a whole era. Let's take a trip down memory lane to 20 unforgettable bars that true Americans will never forget. Studio 54. Studio 54 was New York City's most legendary disco club, open from 1977 until 1980. In its brief heyday, this former Broadway theater turned nightclub defined late 70s nightlife with celebrity-packed parties and outrageous glamour. Everyone from Andy Warhol to Diana Ross danced under its stardust. Quite literally, since one New Year's Eve, the owners dumped 4 tons of glitter on the crowd. Tales of decadence are endless. Bianca Jagger once even rode a white horse across the dance floor during her birthday bash. Short-lived yet iconic Studio 54's Anything Goes atmosphere made it the ultimate symbol of the disco era. It closed with a final party in 1980 amid scandal, but its legend still looms large. CBGB. CBGB wasn't much to look at, a grungy little club on New York's Bowery, but it became the birthplace of American punk rock in the 1970s. Owner Hilly Crystal opened CBGB and Omfug in 1973, hoping to play country, bluegrass, and blues, hence the name. But young bands had other ideas. Soon acts like the Ramones, Blondie, Talking Heads, and Patti Smith were blasting raw, original songs on its tiny stage. The dingy venue, famous for graffiti-covered walls and a notoriously foul bathroom, became an unlikely launchpad for a music revolution. CBGB's no frills, no cover songs policy nurtured a new punk attitude that spread worldwide. By the time it closed in 2006 over a rent dispute, CBGB had cemented its status as sacred ground for rock fans craving authenticity. Max's Kansas City. In the late 1960s and 70s, Max's Kansas City in Manhattan was where art, music, and mischief mingled. Opened in 1965, this unassuming Park Avenue South restaurant bar became the hangout for Andy Warhol's factory superstars and the glitterati of rock and roll. On any given night, you might find David Bowie or Iggy Pop in the back room with Warhol's crowd, while up-and-coming bands like the Velvet Underground or the New York Dolls played live sets. Glam rock was practically born at Max's. It was the spot where Lou Reed gave his final performances with the Velvet Underground and where Debbie Harry waited tables before Blondie hit it big. Max's closed in 1981, but old regulars still wax poetic about the electric mix of artists, punks, poets, and posers that made it a pop culture playground. Limelight. Housed in a former Gothic revival church, Limelight was a 1980s New York nightclub like no other. When club impresario Peter Gatien opened it in 1983, he transformed stained glass sanctity into an infamous temple of hedonism. Limelight's dance floor pulsed with new wave and industrial music as colorful club kids in outrageous costumes partied under the vaulted ceilings. It quickly earned a reputation as one of NYC's most infamous party spaces, a place where anything could happen. In fact, so much happened that Limelight became notorious for its dark side, rampant drug use and scandal, including the highly publicized 1996 murder committed by a club promoter. Despite, or because of, its tumultuous history, Limelight remains a source of morbid nostalgia for 80s New Yorkers who remember the club's wild creativity and ultimate fall from grace. Peppermint Lounge. Back in the early 1960s, the epicenter of America's twist dance craze was a snug nightclub off Times Square called the Peppermint Lounge. This little 178-person club, opened in 1958, suddenly became world famous when crowds flocked to do the twist, a new dance where you literally twisted your hips, to the house band Joey D and the Starlighters. Celebrities packed the joint shoulder to shoulder. Audrey Hepburn, Marilyn Monroe, Truman Capote, Judy Garland, even First Lady Jackie Kennedy popped in to spin on the dance floor. In fact, Jackie loved the vibe so much she had a Peppermint Lounge party recreated at the White House. The club's signature song, Peppermint Twist, hit #1 on the charts in 1962, spreading its fame even further. Though the original Peppermint Lounge closed in 1965, its legacy lives on in every foot-tapping moment of twist nostalgia. Copacabana. The Copacabana, the hottest spot north of Havana. Barry Manilow's catchy 1978 song immortalized this iconic New York nightclub, but the Copa's real heyday was decades earlier. Opening in 1940, the Copacabana was a glitzy Manhattan night spot where mobsters and movie stars rubbed elbows amid tropical decor. Throughout the 1940s and 50s, it was the place to see and be seen. Everyone from Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. to Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio were regulars. The club featured lavish floor shows with feathered showgirls, yes, like Lola in the song, and famous Latin bands, giving it a sultry, escapist allure. By the disco era, the Copa had inspired a hit song and appeared in movies like Goodfellas, keeping its legend alive. After changing locations multiple times, the Copacabana name still endures, a symbol of mid-century nightclub glamour where the nights were endless and the cocktails flowed strong. 21 Club. For 90 years, the 21 Club in Manhattan was the epitome of old New York sophistication. Born as a Prohibition-era speakeasy in 1930, 21 hid its liquor behind secret doors and in a booby-trapped wine cellar while high society patrons sipped illicit gin fizzes. After repeal, it became a legitimate upscale restaurant bar known for the line of jockey figurines out front and its everybody who's anybody clientele. U.S. presidents from FDR onward dined here, all except one, and celebrities like Elizabeth Taylor kept private wine lockers in 21's cellar. With its dimly lit bar room and memorabilia-lined walls, there's a model of JFK's PT-109 boat hanging over the bar. The club felt like a cozy time capsule of mid-century glamour. 21 finally shut its doors in 2020 after a 90-year run, ending an era. But for those who remember its martinis and magic, the spirit of 21 will always remain an icon of New York cocktail culture. Toots Shores. In the 1940s and 50s, Toots Shores was the rollicking living room for Manhattan's athletes, entertainers, and journalists, essentially the original all-star sports bar. Owner Toots Shore himself was as famous as his clientele, a burly, affable host who greeted regulars like Frank Sinatra, Jackie Gleason, Joe DiMaggio, and Mickey Mantle with a wink and a friendly insult. "You crumb bum." His eponymous restaurant, opened 1940 on West 51st Street, was less about the food and all about the whiskey, camaraderie, and celebrity people-watching. On any given night, you might see Brooklyn Dodgers trading barbs with Broadway stars while Toots poured another round. The joint simply oozed mid-century masculine charm. Think steaks, cigars, and stiff drinks. Toots Shores closed in 1971, and with it went a bygone era of DiMaggio and Sinatra-style backslapping nightlife. But the legend lives on whenever old-timers reminisce about when New York was New York, and every famous face ended the night at Toots' place. Stork Club. Decades before paparazzi and VIP lounges, there was the Stork Club, the ultimate golden age night spot where everyone who was anyone gathered. From the 1930s through the 50s, this Midtown Manhattan club, run by ex-bootlegger Sherman Billingsley, was the place to see and be seen. Frequented by the likes of Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall, Frank Sinatra, and dozens of other A-list stars. Billingsley was a master showman. He pampered celebrities with complimentary champagne and even banned photographers to ensure famous patrons could relax and misbehave freely. The Stork Club oozed glamour with its luxurious cub room, private tables for gossip columnist Walter Winchell, and chic dress code. Think white tie, satin gowns, and trays of Manhattans on every table. During its heyday, it wasn't unusual to spot a young Jackie Kennedy or Marilyn Monroe perched at the bar amid the swirl of society debutantes and Hollywood leading men. Though it closed in 1965, the Stork's legacy as America's most famous nightclub lives on, evoking an era when nightclub stars shone as brightly as the stars on screen. Playboy Club. In the swinging 1960s, holding a Playboy Club key was the ultimate status symbol for the worldly American male. The first Playboy Club opened in Chicago in 1960, brainchild of Hugh Hefner, and soon clubs popped up in cities from New York to Los Angeles, each staffed by the iconic Playboy bunnies, hostesses in satin corsets with bunny ears and fluffy tails. Members flashed a rabbit head metal key at the door for entry to a lounge filled with plush decor, live jazz, and of course beautiful bunnies serving classic cocktails. At its peak, the Chicago Club was reportedly the busiest night spot in the world, logging 132,000 visits in late 1961 alone. The phenomenon even outlasted the sexual revolution for a time. The last U.S. Playboy Club didn't close until 1988. With its air of suave exclusivity and playful fantasy, the Playboy Club chain captured an era's spirit. Today, the image of a bunny serving drinks still brings back a rush of nostalgia for those who remember when membership had its privileges at the Playboy Club. Gilley's Club. Everything was bigger in Texas at Gilley's, the enormous honky-tonk bar in Pasadena, Texas, that dubbed itself the world's biggest honky-tonk. Opened in 1970 by country singer Mickey Gilley, this cavernous dance hall could hold 6,000 patrons and featured live rodeo attractions, including an infamous mechanical bull named El Toro in the center ring. Gilley's had sawdust on the floor, cold long-neck beers at the bar, and country music blaring from open to close, 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., basically round the clock. It achieved national fame as the setting of the 1980 John Travolta film Urban Cowboy, which turned mechanical bull riding and line dancing into a global craze. After the movie, folks from coast to coast were donning cowboy hats and snapping pearl-button shirts, hoping to capture a little of that Gilley's magic. Though the original Gilley's burned down in 1990 and closed amid a feud, the legend of the Urban Cowboy bar, loud, rowdy, and unabashedly Texan, remains as country as it gets. Coconut Grove, Ambassador Hotel. For old Hollywood in its prime, the place to party was under the fake palm trees of the Coconut Grove at LA's Ambassador Hotel. This lavish nightclub opened in 1921 and quickly became Hollywood's first playground of the stars, hosting the Academy Awards, movie premiere galas, and nightly big band dancing for the silver screen elite. The decor was pure exotic fantasy: gold-leaf doors, Chinese lanterns, a ceiling of twinkling stars, and real props from a Rudolph Valentino film, including papier-mâché palm trees with mechanical monkeys perched in them. On a given evening, you might find Clark Gable sharing cocktails with Marlene Dietrich, while Joan Crawford and Gloria Swanson faced off in a dance contest judged by Louis B. Mayer. With a strict no-photography policy, celebrities could truly cut loose. Legend has it, Marion Davies once rode a white horse through the lobby on her way to a Grove costume party. The Coconut Grove reigned for decades, even into the 1960s, before closing in 1989. But its star-studded legacy lives on, emblematic of a time when swing orchestras, champagne fountains, and movie stars in tuxedos defined nightlife glamour. Whiskey A Go-Go. On the Sunset Strip in 1964, Whiskey A Go-Go opened its doors and Los Angeles rock history was made. Billed as America's first real discotheque, the Whiskey combined a dance club atmosphere with live music and helped give birth to the concept of the go-go dancer in a cage, complete with white boots and fringed dress. Soon after opening, the club's publicist convinced management to book local rock bands, and the timing was perfect. The Whiskey became ground zero for the 60s LA music explosion. The Doors were the house band in 1966, cutting their teeth with nightly sets, and acts like Buffalo Springfield, Janis Joplin, and Led Zeppelin all played iconic shows in the 300-person venue. For teenagers in the 70s and 80s, the Whiskey continued to be a rite of passage, witnessing everything from Van Halen's early gigs to Mötley Crüe's hair metal mayhem. The club is still rocking today, but for true devotees, nothing beats the nostalgia of those early years when Sunset Strip rock and roll was born on the Whiskey's tiny stage. The Troubadour. Los Angeles Troubadour Club has an almost mythical status as the launching pad for musical legends. Opened in 1957 as a folk music coffeehouse, by the 1960s it was hosting future superstars in its intimate 300-capacity room on Santa Monica Boulevard. Everyone got their start here. Elton John made his U.S. debut at the Troubadour in August 1970, a 6-night run that rocketed him to fame and is still talked about in reverent tones. The club nurtured the Laurel Canyon singer-songwriter scene. Carole King, James Taylor, Joni Mitchell all played here, and it's where Glenn Frey met Don Henley, leading to the formation of the Eagles. The Traub, as locals call it, wasn't just about mellow tunes either. In 1974, John Lennon and Harry Nilsson infamously got thrown out for heckling the Smothers Brothers, adding to the lore. From 80s hair metal showcases, Guns N' Roses were discovered here, to 90s alternative rock secret shows, the Troubadour has seen it all. It remains a beloved venue, but those who were there in the early days still get goosebumps remembering when unknown kids took the tiny stage and walked off as legends. Rainbow Bar and Grill. If you were a rock star or wannabe in 1970s Los Angeles, Rainbow Bar and Grill was your nightly hangout. Opened in 1972 on the Sunset Strip next to the Roxy, the Rainbow quickly became ground zero for the hard-partying rock elite. The restaurant downstairs served solid Italian food, but most patrons were more interested in heading upstairs to the exclusive Over the Rainbow Loft Club, accessible only to VIPs and their entourages. On a given night, you might spot Led Zeppelin carousing in one booth, Alice Cooper and Keith Moon raising hell in another, while members of The Who, Kiss, or Mötley Crüe prowled around with their groupies. John Lennon even dropped in during his infamous Lost Weekend with drinking buddy Harry Nilsson. In later years, the Rainbow gained a quieter icon, Motorhead's Lemmy, who became a daily fixture at the end of the bar playing video poker and sipping Jack and Coke. To this day, the Rainbow remains open, its walls lined with rock memorabilia, and if you listen closely, you can almost hear the echoes of wild laughter and loud music from those unbridled 70s and 80s nights. The Viper Room. Dark, edgy, and a little dangerous, the Viper Room captured the zeitgeist of Hollywood's young and wild in the 1990s. Johnny Depp co-opened this small Sunset Strip club in 1993, and it instantly became a playground for the rising Generation X glitterati. In the Viper Room's dimly lit confines, capacity just 250, one might find actors like Leonardo DiCaprio or Keanu Reeves mingling with rock stars like Alice Cooper or Slash, all enjoying the no-press, no-hassle vibe. But the club's mystique is forever tinged with tragedy. On Halloween 1993, beloved actor River Phoenix collapsed from a drug overdose on the sidewalk outside and died, shocking the world and branding the Viper Room with infamous notoriety. In the years after, other scares followed, celebs overdosing but surviving like Courtney Love in 1995. Yet, the Viper Room persisted as a hot live music venue. Everyone from Tom Petty to Johnny Cash graced its tiny stage. Plans are now afoot to redevelop the site, but for true 90s kids, the Viper Room will always live on as the smoky, secretive lair of Hollywood cool, equal parts glamour and danger. Cheers, Bull and Finch Pub. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. In the 1980s, that place was Cheers, the cozy Boston bar made famous by TV. The real location was the Bull and Finch Pub, a basement tavern on Beacon Hill that opened in 1969. It was a beloved local watering hole long before Hollywood came knocking. In fact, the year the Cheers sitcom premiered, 1982, Boston Magazine had just named the Bull and Finch the city's best neighborhood bar. Producers used its charming brick exterior for the show's establishing shots, and suddenly, this little pub became a global icon. Tourists flocked in droves, snapping photos under the now famous awning. By 1990, it was one of Boston's top 3 tourist attractions. Inside, it didn't exactly match the TV set, so eventually they added a replica upstairs for fans. Renamed Cheers Beacon Hill in 2002, the bar today is equal parts neighborhood joint and nostalgia trip. For many Americans, visiting it is like stepping onto a TV set, a comforting reminder of a time when Norm, Cliff, Sam, and Diane felt like friends, and the bar where everyone knows your name was just around the corner. Coyote Ugly Saloon. Wild, raucous, and unapologetically fun, the original Coyote Ugly Saloon in New York City was the ultimate 1990s dive bar with a twist. That twist being bartenders dancing on the bar in midriff tops and cowboy boots. Opened in January 1993 by a young Wall Street dropout, Liliana Lovell, this East Village joint gained a cult following for its shot-slinging, tough-talking female bartenders known as coyotes, who would hoist themselves up to stomp and dance between pouring drinks. The bar's notoriety spread nationwide after a 1997 GQ magazine article by Elizabeth Gilbert titled "The Muse of the Coyote Ugly Saloon," which chronicled the rowdy scene. Hollywood came calling, and by 2000, the film Coyote Ugly hit theaters, filled with bar-top boogies and based on Lovell's real-life watering hole. The movie's success turned Coyote Ugly into a franchise, with bars from Las Vegas to Moscow, but those who visited the gritty original remember it best. Sticky floors, sassy bartenders setting shots on fire, and everyone singing along to "Pour Some Sugar on Me." The Coyote Ugly Saloon made sure a night out was anything but ugly. Trader Vic's. In the mid-20th century, Americans fell in love with tiki bars, and no name looms larger in that world than Trader Vic's. This Polynesian-themed restaurant-bar chain was founded in 1934 by Victor Trader Vic Bergeron in Oakland, California. By the 1950s and 60s tiki craze, Trader Vic's had expanded to dozens of locations worldwide, each an exotic escape decorated with bamboo, blowfish lanterns, and carved tiki statues. Patrons wore aloha shirts and sipped Mai Tais, Vic's signature creation, from ceramic coconut mugs, while Hawaiian music played softly in the background. The Beverly Hills Trader Vic's, opened 1955 in the Beverly Hilton, became a particular hotspot for Hollywood celebrities who'd sip rum punches there after award shows. A mention of Trader Vic's even pops up in pop culture. Warren Zevon sang about a werewolf drinking a piña colada at Trader Vic's in his 1978 song Werewolves of London, cementing its cool factor in music lore. Though many original locations closed, BH shuttered in 2007 to tiki fans' dismay, Trader Vic's is fondly remembered as the place where the tropical fantasy of tiki culture thrived, complete with potent cocktails and thatch roof ambiance. Pat O'Brien's. Down in New Orleans, Pat O'Brien's bar has been serving up good times and killer cocktails since the day after Prohibition ended. On December 3, 1933, owner Pat O'Brien threw open the doors of his establishment, formerly a secret speakeasy called Mr. O'Brien's Club Tipperary, and never looked back. Pat O's, as locals call it, became world famous in the 1940s for inventing the Hurricane, a powerful red rum punch born of World War II liquor shortages, served in a curvy glass shaped like a hurricane lamp. Tourists and locals alike flocked to Pat O'Brien's for its convivial dueling pianos, sing-along bar, and the beautiful courtyard patio with its flaming fountain. The motto here is, have fun, and it's impossible not to, after a couple of those deceptively strong hurricanes. From Mardi Gras revelers to WW2 soldiers on leave, generations have stories, some hazy, of nights at Pat O'Brien's. It's not just a bar, it's a French Quarter rite of passage, where the spirit of New Orleans is always in full swing, and every night feels like a celebration. If any of these spots sparked a memory, hit that like button, share your favorite in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more trips back in time.